Hi, everyone. Welcome to 5 Questions with DS. I'm pleased to welcome Jerry Levine to today's episode.
Thank you so much for having me. If you're seeing me pause a little, I'm having some internet connection issues this morning or evening for you, DS. But I wanted to make sure we did this discussion, and I'm really excited to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let me start with a round of introduction first. Jerry is Chief Evangelist and Co General Counsel at ContractPodAi, and he brings extensive experience from his tenure as a Global General Counsel at Emilia, formerly IPsoft, and leadership roles at Axiom and LexisNexis. With a background in legal design thinking, he champions the transformation of legal professionals into strategic organizational leaders, driving business results and market share growth. So, Jerry, let me begin with the first question. Given your experience on all sides of the legal service spectrum, as legal service provider, as a consumer, how do you approach the implementation of legal technologies to ensure that they address the needs of both the service providers and consumers?
You know, the first thing I always tell folks, or one of the first things I always tell folks when they're considering what to do in implementation of legal technologies, change management, all of this, is you need to know where people, where your teammates, where your company, where your organization is struggling. Because that's the crucial first step in creating an experience that effectively addresses both the legal service provider's priority, which is, of course, to get you as a customer up and running and make sure you're happy, but also for yourself as a purchaser of legal technology or legal services. You want to be happy with the service you're receiving. So start learning what you're looking for, but also know where you struggle for a customer. And for the vendor, it's important on us to understand where you're struggling and be able to guide you through that.
That's so insightful. Talking about optimizing workflows, you spoke from the angle of the business. Let's talk about the effect of technology on people. You promote work life balance. I've seen that in some of your posts. How can technology strategically be leveraged to optimize some of these workflows and enhance overall efficiency?
The first thing I'm going to say is whenever I say work life, I try to catch myself and say life work. Because it's funny, but changing these two words around gives you a different view on how to think about work and life. And I think one of the issues that lawyers struggle with, legal technology folks struggle with, everyone in the legal field struggles with, is actually balancing their life and their work. I know it's a big issue, especially for lawyers, but I've seen it from a number of folks across the board in our industry. But beyond that, there really isn't a universal approach to figuring out what's going to work best for you as a person who's trying to balance their life and work balance. So, it's whatever tools figure this out. So for me as a general counsel, having AI, and now with generative AI, very much a big change, contract lifecycle management cuts down a tremendous amount on the repetitive emails I've gotten. I used to get 100, 200 emails a day at my prior roles with contract requests or questions about contracts. That doesn't happen anymore because everyone can go in and see the status of their contract, whether they're in ContractPodAi, in Salesforce, or in any tool that will support that. And beyond that, I can, as a lawyer, I'm able to deal easily with drafting, with redlining, with doing legal research. All of these tools can really help. I don't think, and I'll go back to specific legal solutions in a second, but I don't think technology alone mitigates burnout. There's a lot that we have to do as human beings to avoid this. I do think a lot of strides have been made in the legal field to help folks avoid burnout, but it's not just about that. It's about understanding what you're doing, transparency, and being clear. Going to your specific question about are there specific tools? I'm a huge believer in CLM and as well as generative AI now to really make the legal practice a tremendously better place to work for lawyers, for legal tech professionals, for all of us, because I found it to be so remarkable, especially CLM. And generative AI is at its very birth right now, but CLM, contract lifecycle management, the ability to not have to worry about things that were administrative tasks and that I would previously have to administer. Are all the files in the right place? Is this all in the right location? All of that is now being handled by the computer. Uh, with generative AI, I know we're at the very beginning, but I'm really excited. So my prior company was an AI and automation company. We're a legal technology and automation and AI company here at ContractPodAi. And the reason I joined in the first place was because how amazed I was with what CLM, what contract lifecycle management did for my role and my prior roles in really, getting me out of work, an hour or two earlier. I wasn't having to sit there and do administrative work, and just not having those extra 2 hours of admin work for me was life changing. And of course, my team benefited from it as well.
Wow, that sounds so great. I mean, I've not heard a better customer success story than this one. So, touching on balancing innovation and responsibility now, it's really important to uphold aspects of compliance, data security, and ethical use. And these are all very challenging and complex problems these days. So, what frameworks or best practices do you recommend for navigating this delicate balance, with sensitive legal workflows?
Another fantastic question. Dipti, you know your stuff. You know what's going on. I really appreciate this. So,
Right.
yeah, look, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of ethical, a lot of transparency. A number of these questions all surround the use of artificial intelligence, legal technology, or any technological tool, really. Is there a solution that's going to make every single person happy? I don't think so, but we can always build better solutions. We can work towards this through human and machine interaction, through making sure we're building tools that are as safe as possible, that are as ethical as possible, and so on. So what we built at ContractPod AI, and this is myself, my colleagues, our leadership, we are all very big on this, is building what we've called our AI best practice framework. So, and a lot of this is built on my work as a lawyer working in the field, where I really want to steer the best practices around AI use generally. And the good news is I see a lot of the governments, a lot of the EU, the Indian government, the US government, everybody's focused on actually throughout South America. I'm getting questions as well now, Australia. So it is a true global effort to figure out how to manage AI properly. And so we've come up with 3 core ideas here at ContractPod that we really, really focus on. And while they sound higher level, they're more of a holistic view of what we try to do, and we are meeting those holistic views and goals. So, one, we don't want the AI to be creative. We want to follow precedent. We want to standardize these processes. We don't want to reinvent the wheel every time. And that's important because I'm sure, Dipti, you've seen the articles about lawyers who have gone and asked a question to an AI and come up with fake cases,
Yes.
imaginary courts, all of that. So it's super important that we do that. So another thing that we do also is looking at performance related metrics. Is this actually helping here? Are we able to achieve the goal that you're asking for, or is there a better way to do it? So one thing we're looking at is if you're not achieving these core benefits, if you're not improving, where can we see that? How can we show you where other folks are improving in a private, ethical manner. We're not giving anybody's data away, but we're able to say, if we make a change to this workflow, or if you look at these better, if you look at these facts and figures, maybe we can figure out why you're struggling with this area, but not this area. Again, all of that is clean. There's no shared data. There's no transfer of data, because frankly, my position has been for over a decade now. I would love not to have any of your data, but unfortunately, that's not something we're in yet in this world. And finally, I've written on this a ton. I truly believe it. The best way to benefit society, to benefit us, is through AI that's responsible, that's intelligent, but does not infringe on human nature, that doesn't infringe on what humans are best at. So we want to drive these incredibly positive outcomes without harming people. And to me, that's really key. And even our entire structure, our contracts reflect that, our discussions with customers reflect that. But the number one thing I think is the human is the core of the business. Humans are the ones who are going to be buying something. They're the ones who are going to be using it. So any tool needs to be human-centric. And I think that's the key. We want to make things better, but we need to remember that the center of the universe, despite what anybody wants us to say, the center of the universe for us is humans.
Got it. And I think from what I understand, and to round that up, you have the right guardrails in place while you're innovating and using everything that can be used to help people, to help lawyers, to help everyone in the legal ecosystem. You touched upon how you're looking at security and the compliance aspect and what AI is doing and what kind of responses it's giving. I wanted to, from a 50,000 feet perspective, ask you what sort of quantifiable impact you're seeing of artificial intelligence. Is there a way to measure the kind of improvements, the kind of efficiencies that can be gained from implementing these solutions?
I truly believe that there is. And we see it when our customers, in fact, I'll share a story and then I'll go a little deeper into it. There's something amazing. And this happened just Friday, so it's still fresh in my mind, despite there being an intervening weekend. One thing is the jaw drop, that the kind of if you're only listening to this podcast, I made a cartoon-like reaction of my mouth opening wide and my eyes gigantic. So it was really amazing to watch this team of lawyers who were fairly tech skeptic as we showed off what Leah, our generative AI product, would do. And just within our guardrails, within all these rules and guidelines and almost the constitution we've set up for our products, watching them as the answers just show up. And not everything's perfect, and I'll make that point. Like I said, we're here about the humans. We want to give you the information to make the decision, but we never want the computer to be making decisions itself. So, that just watching those is kind of I can't say it's a metric because you can't really measure people's smiles so much. You can tell, but when you see those looks on their faces and they're asking and they're very involved, we know we're doing something that, folks are very excited about. And I, by the way, I feel this myself whenever I am able to start something quicker and finish quicker for our teams because I'm using our own products. But, we weren't just going to take this idea of, well, Jerry saw some people smile, so therefore we know it works. We've actually been conducting surveys. We've been researching. Again, I'm pointing out everything is anonymized. Everything is public. We're not looking at anybody's private data here. But we went and we surveyed 250 legal professionals throughout the US and the UK. Now, I know that's a small group of folks. There's only, 1 million lawyers in the US. So, but we surveyed a couple hundred in-house legal professionals. And what we found is more than 3/4, and I think even since then, I think that was a few months ago, I think we've even heard higher numbers say that they're already using these tools. And whether it's just to get some sort of writing, get out of a roadblock, get out of a mental block, or to, can you help me rewrite this clause? Some of them are using the publicly available tools like OpenAI or Gemini or Google's Gemini or Microsoft. And some of them are but they're all showing a tremendous amount of time savings, that those more than 3/4 said they were saving more than 6 hours a week. And about half, I think 48% or so, said that they're doing a lot of it for legal research right now, which seems to be a fairly straightforward question. But also the next quarter were contract drafting and review of documents. So I think that's a good sign. Lawyers are actually very interested in this to a point where, and let me say, lawyers and legal professionals are interested in this to a point where there's a lot of growth, a lot of interest, and a lot of focus on how do we make this secure, safe, and easy to use. What I can do, and this is probably this is a little bit more in the weeds. Recently, we helped a global venture capital firm was struggling with a major project. So we went in with their law firm and PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the global firm, to support them with Leah. And we went across 16,500 pages of contracts with 98% accuracy in pulling out these very complex data points they wanted. Now, that sounds amazing. And the reason it is amazing, and this is a little older now. Last year, we found out that humans, when they're reviewing contracts, hit the key obligations, hit the items they're looking for 89% of the time. Computers with prior generations of AI would hit 94 to 95% because they may not be making they're not making judgments, they're just pulling out data. Now with generative AI, we're hitting 98%. But what we do know is that you need humans and computers working together to hit 100%. And again, I point this out every time. The important thing to remember is the computer can't make a judgment call. So while you and I may be able to make a decision like, I know what they're trying to do there, even though this doesn't quite meet what I'm looking for, I can agree with this. The computer doesn't care. The AI doesn't care. So the key is, we're hitting these high numbers, we're able to pull it out, and we're giving this information back to real live human beings like you. I don't know if I'm a real life human being, but I'm pretty sure you are, Dipti, to make these decisions, but we're able to make them faster with surrounding data, with additional information, and to figure out what's going on.
Got it.
Nobody wants to sit there and do due diligence. Now, to be fair, I do think it's important. I think it's a really important task for contract lawyers who work with contracts, for lawyers in M&A to work with. But our job at this point, in many ways, should be, can we confirm what we're seeing, not just can we type out we don't want to be I think a good way to think about it is, lawyers don't want to be data entry people. But we want to be able to make decisions. We want to make judgments. We were ecstatic on this adventure with PwC and us doing this audited. They could see it. We were able to extract these complex, logic-oriented data points, provide analysis across 16,500 pages of contract documents with 98% accuracy. And that was the first round before it went to the human lawyers to make those decisions, human lawyers to decide whether they would accept the computer, and human lawyers to make the changes they needed. But that it's just mind-boggling how much happier everyone was by using Leah our solution alongside of their traditional methods of due diligence and contract review.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the last bit. So looking towards the horizon, what advancements are you most excited about? What's coming up next that's really catching your fancy? And it doesn't have to be one technology, it can be many different things, but where do you see all of this going?
Oh, well, at first, Dipti, I did think you were asking me about what's catching my attention, and I was going to say breakfast, but about in technology for lawyers and legal tech, uh, I think one thing that I'm really, really focused on with this, and where I envision this changing, is that we're seeing a systemic change in the market from solutions that assist automation purely, and how do I see these advancements shaping the practice of law and the legal profession? The first thing, if you paid attention a year or so ago to what I was writing, or before generative AI really caught everyone's imagination, I think we saw a lot of single solutions. They were point solutions. And that's a typical technology structure. As you build the products, you solve one problem, your customers bring you a new problem, you have to now build a new problem. So what we're seeing at ContractPodAi is a movement and towards platformization, either through connectivity, through APIs, or building various tools within single products, but getting away from these siloed single purpose products to solutions that can do more than just one thing. Beyond that, I think we're really looking at technology that benefits folks directly, that benefits the users directly, rather than, this is helping the company track this. This is helping us do this. So when we look at these tools, whether you're looking at, a redlining tool that's assisting with automated redlining, providing guidance, it's not just about redline and cross it out. It's now, how do we capture the issues? How do we analyze them beyond that? What can we do to help humans do better? Where can we really do that? And that, I think, is the ultimate goal for us as a software company at ContractPodAi, is to get these ideas, really to better track things, to know what's going on, to make people feel that they're accomplishing more, and ultimately they're happier with themselves. Um, I think there's quite a bit of distance to go for our industry. We're just at the very beginning of this transition. Even the companies, even those organizations that have been using CLM or legal technology for 10, 15, 20 years they're still kind of young in the scheme of things. And you look at the way the legal firms are growing, the legal department's changing, the way we're doing things differently. I think all of this is really, really focused on how do we make people better at what they're doing so they can achieve better life-work balance, and so that they can be better at what they're accomplishing and ultimately be happier. And I think that's the ultimate goal.
Thank you. That's been such an insightful, and you've painted a wonderful picture of the future. And what I really like is it's an inclusive picture. It's not one where we are just chasing numbers and efficiency for businesses. We are chasing something for the larger good. Thank you, Jerry. This has been most insightful and very, very informative. And thank you for sparing your time on this morning with us. Thank you.
It was my pleasure, Dipti. I very much appreciate talking to you today.